From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Why are you a conspiracy theorist? And I said, why isn't everybody a goddamn conspiracy theorist?
This is the real research. Literally have an alien base, and they are literally communicating.
I don't have a whole lot of time.
Have you personally had any experience with interdimensional beings?
What we're thinking of as aliens, they have infiltrated a lot of aspects of military intelligence. They are not what they claim to be.
We leave you much that is undone.
It's one small step for man.
There are great ideas undiscovered.
Visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars.
Remove one of truth's protective layers.
There's a monolith.
They want the major population centers wiped out.
Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
One giant leap for mankind.
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
Those challenges are yours.
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
There are places to go beyond belief. Beyond belief.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Conspiracy Podcast. We don't take days off because reptilians don't take days off. Dave and Ollie have taken days off. This is not part of the fucking plan. However, I am fucking joined today by Double H himself. No, Double H? No, that would be triple. Oh, fuck it. Fuck me. I fucked my own intro up. Double N himself. Nancy Nick from Alien Addict.
That was good, man. Thanks for being here. But yeah, it's still sticking, isn't it, Nancy Nick?
Hasn't it? I didn't think. Yeah, it's amazing when you say things and then like they catch on. You go, oh wow! Imagine if I had real power.
Everyone says to me, "Do you get offended by it?" I'm like, no, of course not. You know, because Nazi is still a bit of a stigma to people, but for me, it's just
No, you and Kanye West don't mind.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, I have to admit, it's a sick downbeat, but I'm not necessarily agreeing with the lyrics. I couldn't believe it. I did a live show with Hidden, and Kanye West literally just dropped it, and I was looking through the lyrics because Hidden was going, "Oh no, Kanye." He was basically bitching about YouTube. Why would YouTube allow that? I know they did take it down after a while, but it's just like that. This is just. It's like a flipping dystopia, man. It's just like, what the hell is going on? How is this being allowed? You know,
it is wild. I don't even think that it's like people are going wild over the censorship thing about it. But I mean, I remember being a kid and the fucking Out There Brothers having like what I can't even remember what the song was called now, being banned. You know, songs have been banned before, but now it's funny when people are trying to say how. People say, well, you shouldn't get offended by stuff, but people are getting more offended by things like every day. Even the people that tell you not to be offended by stuff are getting offended by things. It's really weird. I mean, the product wasn't Smack My Bitch Up. It was heavily censored, wasn't it? I think that was banned for a while.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. Was it the music video?
Might have been the music video. Might have been the music video.
No,
but again,
I clearly remember the lyrics.
Yeah, and I've just like Kanye West's song. I've listened to Smack My Bitch Up loads of times. Never actually smacked my bitch up. I listened to Kanye West's song. Didn't invade Poland. It was dead easy.
It's crazy times, man. Crazy times. What I have to admit is the beat was like, wow, that's a heavy beat. But again, lyrics. Not agreeing with it, even though
pretty heavy as well.
It's pretty flippant. The whole bloody thing is pretty heavy. But yeah, it's crazy times, man. We're living in. You know, it just makes me think like, how is this all acceptable? I know it's not acceptable, but how they got the balls to do it?
How is it being accepted? I think that's the right way to put it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because especially with the song title, we can't say the name. You know, hell.
Nope.
No, you can't say it. Out due respect, but it's just like the balls of the guy to release it on such a public platform and expect things to go well.
Just inadvertently, that was that was a fucking ace joke that you glanced over. You're not saying it out of, you're not saying it out of due respect. Carry on.
I'm sorry. Oh my god. This is a podcast. I'm still nervous for it. But it's just the outcome. Is he gonna expect this to be like a warm welcome? It's not. It's gonna be such stigma behind it because of the heavy lyrics and what the song represents. It's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. I don't know what's going on with him. I know you guys talked about his bodyguard. I remember you did a podcast on it.
I think bodyguard. He's cooked. Like me and Dave disagree on him quite heavily. I think because like Dave, I think is more in the camp of like he's like Kanye's kind of fighting back. I think he's been whizzed into a clinic somewhere, given all of the magic juice, and then set out into the world as a fucking agent of chaos.
Do you really think that? I don't know.
I think so.
Because listening to the lyrics, he was talking about basically his life when his kids were taken away and things he was saying on Twitter. But I think there's a more deeper meaning. I mean, if you look at like the music industry as a whole, it's a very dark place. I mean, since really looking into it, there's a lot of like satanic ritual behind it, especially the messaging and the sort of symbolism behind it. I think it's much more deeper meaning now than has ever been before, and that's very relevant in music videos.
I agree. However, the problem with Kanye is, for me in that song, is if it was in isolation, the premise, as I think we're supposed to take it, as in he's been demonized. So, if he's going to be demonized, then he's going to be the personification of what would be demonized in that song. That's fine in isolation, but you've got to take it in context of everything that came before it, all the fucking craziness that came before it, of him doing these interviews with like the black hood over his face when he was on like Alex Jones with Milo Yiannopoulos. I think he was on Tim. Did he go on Tim Pool? Or was it just Milo that went on Tim Pool? I can't remember. And it's like and that's not me saying that he was like saying dangerous or hateful stuff. That's not what I'm bothered about. I think people should just pretty much be able to say what they want. It's the like actions that matter, not words. It doesn't mean what he was doing wasn't fucking nuts though.
Yeah, sure. I understand.
He should be allowed to be nuts. Don't get me wrong, but it was fucking nuts.
I remember the podcast that you did on the bodyguard that he was given prescription drugs, or either on the lines of spiking his drink or something like that, and telling him he's going to be banged up in the ward if he doesn't go through the narrative, basically. But I have to admit, there's a massive decline, like a massive drop in attitude when he started wearing a black hood when he was going on Alex Jones' show. I was like, who is this guy? Who the hell? And I could not believe it was Kanye West because the things he was saying. I would agree. You're probably right on that one. Kind of looking back at it through that time period, it seems like he was mostly heavily probably on drugs or being spiked or something like that. Even like mind control, as far as that, most probably.
I think it's easy to forget the pushback that came on him when he came out in support of Trump first time round. And I'd go back. I think it's worth going back and listening to that Kanye, because that Kanye was, like he's an eccentric guy anyway. Let's not like forget that. But when you listen back to that Kanye, it was still he still resembled the Kanye from 5 years prior to that and 5 years prior to that. Whereas the Kanye today does not resemble the Kanye 5 years prior to this.
Yeah.
I think that was the big shift. Like they did not want I would stand by this, that I think the powers that be have caused all of the social divisions we see, the gender argument now has kind of shifted. But when you think before the trans stuff became like the hot topic, it was manspreading. It was like opening the door for a woman being a sign of patriarchal control, that type of thing. You know, the fucking ridiculous things like, who would you rather spend time in the woods with, a man or a bear? Those type of like things were spread around. Whereas that it does seem to have shifted into this whole bizarre gender war now. But I think that's planned. I think the racism stuff is planned. I think that's one of the reasons for mass uncontrolled migration everywhere, is to stoke racial tension in these areas. It's to the point where it wouldn't surprise me if some of the people that got elected from in votes were artificially placed against the demographics of the areas to cause shock. So, you know, if you get a shock, which is if you get a predominantly white area, for instance, and then you get a Muslim representative that's voted for them, that's I think that can cause division, and it's designed to cause division.
Absolutely. I'm going to be honest with you. I think this all started around about COVID time, about 2020. You started to see the actions of COVID, what it was doing, because this was a global scale. Every single politician, government was behind it. And that, for me, is a bit like climate change. It's a massive scheme, massive scam, in my opinion. It's all been set up on purpose. Yeah. So I think the social engineering, I mean, if we just take like England specifically, the way things are going at the moment, the wokeism, the mass immigration, in one way this might offend people, but I don't really care at this point, is they are literally changing Christianity as England, as a religion, into an Islamic state. That's what it is. Yeah. People don't, when I say that to people, with a shock on their face, but they know it's truly, but they don't have the balls to say it. It's the social engineering, is that, oh, you can't say that because you become a racist.
To show them,
you know what I mean?
Show them photographs of like Iran in the 50s. You know, like these, there has been in maybe not our lifetimes, but just outside our lifetimes, certainly our parents' lifetimes, there has been huge shifts in certain countries and cultures. And the idea that couldn't happen here is it's a level of arrogance that I think comes from normalcy bias, where people go, it's England, isn't it? England, it's always going to be the same. And you go, it doesn't feel the same. Like the UK doesn't feel the same as it did 10 years ago. So if it continues to change, then how's it going to feel in 10 years more?
Exactly. And they use the word, well, the politicians do, diversity is our strength. I'm like, why are you pushing that? And it's clearly not. And they even did a poll stating that, is diversity our strength, to the British public? And they all said no. Like the vast majority, it was something like 80% of people said no, it's not our strength. And it seems to be like a massive decline. I mean, you're right, there's like a massive cultural shift, but it's really started to implement our like daily lives. You know, what we're seeing on TV, the social engineering aspect of that is so strong in this country. Unless you're woken up to it, I think you're hard to believe. Like my nan, she's clueless to it, you know, unless you point it out.
Do you know why I think this was? I think this is a plan. I still don't know what the outcome is, because I still think when you actually look at like demographics of England, I think it's going to take something pretty monumental for reform not to sweep the polls in the next election. Like I cannot see. I just can't see how that happens. I can't see, like, people. No one's going to vote for Tories. Labour just look fucking finished. Insane, like just an insane party. I can't see any way that it isn't just a reform landslide. But that being said, I can't help think that the ground was set for this stuff, and I'm fucking part of this, and I've definitely been part of it in the past. The demonization of the real white working class people that started way before cultural immigration. It went with like the council estate fucking stereotypes, that sort of thing. It's the football hooligan like lad culture being another thing, which I think helped form these stereotypes. And it's because, in my eyes, it's because they knew that if there was going to be an opposition to something like this, it was going to come out from somebody like a Tommy Robinson that does some, like there's a great quote from Douglas Murray talking about Tommy Robinson where he said, if Tommy spoke like I do, he would already be prime minister. And but I think the thing is, it makes it easy right now in this sort of flux time where the real sort of damage is being done. It's made it easy to demonize the people that go, oh, hang on, like, sorry about this, I've got a problem with it. So you can just go, oh, well, you're just fucking racist, aren't you? You just why don't you just go home, drink $6 and batter your missus? Isn't that what you people do? I think that idea has been implanted in people, especially like the middle class, which I think are the culpable of being pretty fucking silent about these things because they're not affected by it yet. And the plan would be is when they are affected by it, it's too late to stop.
I think if we go back to, like, for instance, COVID, and where people were afraid to actually put masks on, and there was like a massive stigma behind it. And I remember the time where you weren't allowed to wear a mask anymore. Basically, it was basically free realm, but people still wear masks. But we were all looking at each other really weird. And some people would be going, well, you need to put a mask on. It's like, yeah, but the pandemic's over. And I think those type of people are still about, that still go, well, you're racist if you don't believe in this. It's like they've been brainwashed. I mean, social engineered to the max. I mean, they would consider me a far right. I would consider them far left. I mean, these are like brainwashed people. You know what I'm talking about, Lee? You know, the ones that I'll consider them as like Karens, I still see people wearing masks today. It's like, what is going on? Like, what, like, literally, come on.
It is wild. Yeah.
It's wild, So I think the public has been swindled a lot since COVID until now. I mean, mainstream media is horrendous. I mean, I only watch it like every Wednesday when I see my nan's, when I go to my nan's place. She puts, ITV, BBC on. And even the adverts, dude. Honestly, I like watching old vintage adverts because they're so much better. But now it's very all colourful, very flashy lights, completely different to what it was 10 years ago. And it is a very subliminal social engineering part of that. Dare I say, drag queens. There is ethnic minorities. You got. I'm not going to go there, but you see what I mean. It's subtle.
No. It's live up to your nickname, mate. Go ham.
It's really showing full colours at the moment, isn't it? But you understand the aspect behind that. It's very slow drip social engineering that is really just like demonized people. Certain people, not all. But I think COVID woken a lot of people up. I think
you're right. I think it did wake a lot of people up. I think, and there's a strange thing that happens, like even in like local arguments I see on local Facebook pages, where someone will always say when something something's vaccine related or something, even if it's not like necessarily anti-vaccine, the first comment that's there will be someone going, "Oh, the anti-vaxxers will be here in a minute," and like you'll see maybe another 50 comments after this, and you look back and go, "Love, you're on your own here now because everyone else in this comment section thinks you're a fucking idiot." And I think it's a defense mechanism. I think it's fear. If I'm honest, I think there's There was a thing on GB News. I've got the clip here, but I'm probably not going to play it because the doctor that they talk about in it, he's speaking. I think he's Swedish. Maybe. Anyway, he's speaking a language Lee cannot speak, and I am not a quick enough reader to live translate for somebody. But he's like stood up. I'm sure it's Sweden. But he stood up in front of the government with he was paid by his government to do a report on the COVID vaccine. And he has come back with his findings that there is so much DNA contamination in the COVID vaccines that it is enough to consider people that received these as being genetically modified humans.
God, Jesus Christ. I mean, talk about a bloody dystopia. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the fact they can do that, and now the evidence has now come out that it is changing people's DNA. Mate, you say that to people that's been vaccinated, they go, "What? No, don't be stupid."
Oh, it's
first thing. It's immediate dismissal. Immediate dismissal.
But how can't it be? Do you know what I mean? Like if it's literally like somebody walking up to you and saying, "You've got a bomb inside you." Of course you're going to go, well, no, stop being so fucking stupid. It must be genuinely, I feel for the people out there that had the vaccine and are like somewhere near sane and and having these thoughts, because it would keep me up at night. I know what I'm like for that type of like medical like anxiety I get sometimes. I can very quickly talk myself from a headache into brain cancer. It doesn't take very long at all.
Sure.
And, so I'd be pretty fucking worried if it was me.
I would be, yeah. Even my gut instinct at the time was going, something's not right here. There's like a really far push. And the stigma behind it has made a massive detrimental effect on the public. But even though I find a lot of people, they want to be the good citizen. Well, I taken my vaccine, so I'm going to go on Facebook and change the logo and say, I've been vaccinated. And you get other Karens going, yeah, well done. Like flipping sea otters. I'm just like, you're patting yourselves on the back, because you want to look good. And I tell you what, there's a really good quote that Elon Musk said. He said in one of the interviews when he told Bob Iger, the CEO from Disney, to go fuck himself, and he goes, people have the perception of wanting to look good, but actually they're just doing shit things, or they're just really bad people. It's the perception of looking good, and I see that a lot at the moment. It's like, well, I need to support climate change. I see that a lot during my, for instance, a lot of my clients I do. So I'm a gardener by trade. I've got a lot of clients I speak to, and some of them have woken up to the fact that climate change is a load of nonsense. But again, there's social engineering behind it. But some of them are really just brainwashed, can't see through the light at all. And the social engineering behind that makes me go, no, there's something else here, because it's on like a massive global scale. But there's no talking out of that to these people. It's like, I must get an electric car to save the planet. It's like, well, just take a step back. Where is that being fueled by? Do you know what I mean? It's like asking like the harder questions in that aspect.
I think the reason for that is, so if you take somebody that's put if you take somebody that put like a Ukraine flag in their bio, or if somebody that's put a thing up saying I had my booster, and you question that because of what you're saying, because they're doing it, not because they think it's the right thing, but because they want to be seen to be doing the right thing. What they've done is they've placed a piece of their character on it. So then when you turn around to them and say, I'm not sure about that vaccine. Like it seems rushed. It hasn't been tested. I believe the booster was tested on 3 mice, and like one of them's got dyslexia, so he can't even write his form out. And they'll turn around to you and say, well, that's ridiculous. Not because what you're saying is ridiculous, because they've hung part of their identity on it. You're not just attacking something that you don't believe in that's separate to them. They're thinking, no, this is my thing. This is my thing that makes me feel good about myself. And by you questioning it, you're making me question how good I am. And I shouldn't question how good I am because I'm a good person.
Yeah,
I'm
across a lot.
Convinced.
So go ahead.
No. That's it. I'm convinced that's why people have these visceral reactions to things.
It's kind of funny when I see these people now, and I go, "Oh yeah, remember I know these people. You know, they're friends of mine. Well, so-called friends, but some of the people that I see at the gym and all that." And I say to them, I says, "Well, remember the time you were talking about the vaccine and COVID and all that, saying that, oh, if I don't take the vaccine, I'll end up killing my nan or continuing the pandemic, and I'm 1,000% chance of me dying." I said, well, look at it now. Look at it now. That all that was a load of bollocks, and you see them like completely 360. It's like the common sense comes into their brainwave and go, oh, actually, I was on my high horse on that one. And I have to admit, a lot of people have woken up to the fact that, yeah, potentially COVID it wasn't as bad as we thought compared to the mainstream media. I mean, remember the time they had the death countdown
on the news?
On the news. I mean, it's just like, now you look at that, anybody with a rational brain going, oh, yeah, that's a load of bollocks. How the hell did they know the deaths were going up and down? Or, sorry, going up at that point?
Makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense. None of it makes sense. And then the really fucking irritating thing about that is now in hindsight, and it's one of the things, because like, first of all, I think we can all fucking safely say here, I don't believe that we had a pandemic. I don't believe whatever happens in any way, shape, or form qualifies as a pandemic.
Yeah.
And so let's go past that. So we'll skip past PCR testing, skip past the huge false positive rate that it had, and then we'll go straight to, okay, so if there was something around, how dangerous was it? And then so you have this big rolling number that's coming across the screen every day. But unfortunately, we can now go back and look at death rates, and fucking not only did the death rates not exceed what we would have expected to say, they were fucking lower. They were lower than we would have expected to see. None of these things marry. You can't have a global health pandemic in which the mission is to vaccinate the whole fucking world because something is so dangerous, with a lower death rate. That should be all people need to know now.
Yeah. I mean, even at the time, people were dropping dead of like heart attacks. It's like, oh, test for COVID. Oh, he had COVID. Oh, so they put on the death certificate, died of COVID. They would basically use that as an excuse to ramp up the death rates. And now
my friend's family in Liverpool had like an ongoing, like, I don't know how it was resolved in the end, but they had an ongoing problem with the hospital that she died in, because they were putting her down as a COVID death, and the family were pretty awake to all this sort of stuff as it was going on. And they were like, fucking, she was like 106. And, you know, she was dying. She was going to die. This had nothing to do with COVID. You know, it
was used as an excuse, basically.
Yeah. Like, I know somebody that was a friend of my father's that went into hospital when we were, it was, I don't want to say too much because I think for people over here, it might actually be quite easy to work out who it was. But it definitely wasn't a family member anyway. That means people are definitely going to think it is a family member, but it's really not. It was a friend. And not even a friend I knew. It was, like I say, a friend of my father's. So he walked into hospital with a bad chest. Was diagnosed with COVID. Over the course of that night, he was put on a ventilator and he died on the ventilator. I am obviously put down as a COVID death. I question now, with very fucking little evidence, which is fine. I I question if it wasn't for the pandemic, how many people might have been treated differently if COVID wasn't always in the forefront of what we should be treating.
Sure.
We abandoned people with fucking cancers because of a cold.
Yeah. Because my boot camp teacher, he's a boxer, and he unfortunately lost one of his eyes to cancer. So he's got a false eye in, and he said, Nick, I couldn't even get a scan because he needs to have a scan every 6 months, like twice a year, basically. Couldn't even get one. Something that serious, something potentially could come back, and that was dismissed all because of potentially a cold. It's just crazy. Now you look back at it, some people don't realize that, Lee. You know, what we look into and go, hold on, the whole thing is basically what I would call a scamdemic. That's what it is. It is. This is what it is, basically. But with that, as we're going on the conversation before the show, is when you look at the public as a whole, there is like a massive dramatic change. We could talk about woke stuff. I mean, the people that I see now, these demographics, I wouldn't say the millennials. What's below millennials? Gen Z?
Gen Z, Gen X?
Gen X, one of the twos, you know.
Older or younger?
Younger than that, you know, we're talking about probably like teenagers.
Oh,
like
Gen Z.
Gen Z, yeah. Those type of crowd that are absolutely sucking into like social media. And there are a few videos I've watched that it shows the wokeness, like the people with really heavy pronouns. They got fake mental illness because, you know, they've watched a 10-second TikTok video, self-diagnosing themselves. I mean, one of them I saw someone identified as a lamp. And I'm like, what? like literally like a street lamp. It's like,
that doesn't sound very bright.
It exactly. It's like people have become extremely retarded in such I would say, a very short amount of period of time. And I'm thinking, right, where has this come from? Is social media to blame for this? Is it the public's perception of what they're consuming on a daily basis? Where did it all start? I mean, I can't really blame it on COVID, but if we look at the woke crowd, I think that started, like you said, around about 2015. Things started to change. I remember I was watching Star Wars in the cinema. I'm going, there's a lot of like woke stuff going on. And I was really new to it at that time. And even my missus was going, I started to notice, like, why have they got lesbian kissing in Star Wars? Like, just a random scene with two girls kissing. It's like, there's no need for it. You know, it was just like stuff like that. It's like, so there's been a dramatic change somehow at some period of time. But now it's just gone full-blown force. I mean, look at Dylan, what's his name? Dylan Mulvaney? Is that him? There was a few videos on YouTube that clocked him like early on before he went through his, transition stage. And this guy was basically, this is before he said he was a girl. It was basically a nobody. And then suddenly he's a multi-millionaire. He's got advertising deals, which has obviously done detrimental effect on advertisements for like Budweiser and all that. But it's still being pushed as like the norm. And it's people like you and me are going, no, this ain't normal. And the vast majority of people are going, this is just stupid. Like, can we at this point, it's like, can we stop? And the way that I would conclude what we're seeing is that we're in the circus show. The circus is in town. And me and you, Lee, we're sitting at the bleachers. We're standing or sitting at the seats. And we're literally watching a circus show with all the woke people, all the extinct rebellion people, the climate change, the people with pronouns, and they're all fighting with each other. It's like a massive circus show. And we're going, what the bloody hell is going on here? Like, this is just like a massive clown show. But it's just ramping up, and it just seems to get more crazier each time. I mean, you could say, like, how is, like, Bonnie Blue and Lily Phillips being socially accepted? Do you know what I mean? It's like, even that level of being acceptance.
I think you're right, like what you were saying before about when you talk about what's caused it. I think social media is a massive part of it.
Oh yeah, sure.
A friend of mine, Ben, listens to the podcast talks to me about this sort of stuff quite a lot, given his job, and he talks about the constant stimuli that we have, which is just like an attack on our sympathetic nervous system, just all the time. You know, the first time you can go back right to the beginning of smartphones to work out how this was going to happen and where this was going to go, and the non-smartphones are like the first phones where like fucking pros like us could afford them. And there was a German scientist that he discovered this thing called like phantom vibration syndrome or something like that. And what it was your brain started understanding. I mean, now looking back on it, it was the beginning, I think, of like phones, like the dopamine hit you get from phones. Yeah. What was happening was people were feeling like phantom vibrations in their pocket because their brain worked out, oh, he gets really happy when that rings. So when you feel a bit sad, your fucking brain would make you think that your phone was going off to get yourself that little dopamine hit. It's like, oh, someone's trying to get in touch with me now. And in hindsight, that was the beginning. That was the beginning of the fucking Facebook like. That was the beginning of the retweet.
Yes, I tell you what, that's a really good point you make there, Lee. I see it all the time on Facebook. Jump in and out, and there are certain women that are, I have to admit, they're in their 40s, they're divorced, they look good, you know, they're typical, you know, MILFs, basically, you know, they're out there, they want to have fun and all that, which is fine, do what you want. But I noticed a very common thing. They'll post a picture of themselves with a selfie, and they only get, like, for instance, 10 likes. Mm-hmm. But then they go, I know these women, but if they post a picture with their cleavage out, showing a bit of tits, that likes go right up. And the likes, I think the likes is a bit like the dopamine. Is to, in one way,
it's a compliment. Yourself, who doesn't want a compliment?
Yes,
it's an easy compliment.
That's it. That's the word I was trying to think of. Complimenting yourself, basically, through other people, because it's like satisfying yourself to a certain degree, and that is part of the dopamine. And over the years now, I think that is prevalent. I mean, I'm a content creator. We always look at the views. We always look at the likes. Now I sort of stepped away from that a little bit, but it's finding the itch, isn't it? It's like scratching like the scratch card. It's like chasing the dragon, so to speak. And I think that the likes is where it all started. I mean, you're quite right on that one, actually, come to think about it.
Well, it's gamified. It gamified life. That's the thing. It's the same like content loop that if you think of something to say, you put something up, lots of people like it. It's the same sort of loop that you would get in a video game. Like it's a basic video game loop, but that's what it is. I don't know whether there's a way out of it. I do wonder whether people pull back. I think what you're going to have is stuff is going to advance to a certain point now where people will want to pull back from it. You know, there'll be like a modern Luddite movement sooner or later.
Sure. And I think Facebook and all these social media platforms really appeal to the young people. People like me who started on Facebook.
I don't think they do anymore, mate. I don't think they do.
Really?
I think Facebook in particular, I think that's for people our age and older.
Yes, because we've been on it since 2007, 2008, a long period of time. So we're like, the oldest generation, but the TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok, but again, TikTok's been being taken over by the oldies as well, though, isn't it?
I don't know.
I love TikTok. Like I see. This is the thing. Like fucking you should see me shuffle dance. But it's that balance, isn't it? Where, especially like you say, as content creators, the stuff I find on social media, like this show, a daily show, doesn't happen without social media because there wouldn't be enough access to things. So it is a double-edged sword. I do think it's in the same as like it's the same as reading. You do you know what I mean? Like when things will start to go weird round about like 2017, 2018, when I had a child then, and it was like you could see the world shifting and moving. And I was like, oh no, like why can't things just stay fucking stable here, like everything was for me? And I genuinely, it made me. It feels stupid even saying this now, but it made me get off my ass and not be a fucking moron anymore. It was like, oh no, there's so many things going around. I understand almost nothing. I'm gonna have to fucking read, and that's that. Genuinely, like I think I probably like from the birth of my son till the point he was 1. I probably read more books in that year than I had in the previous like 36 years or whatever it was of my life.
Yeah.
Easy. I constantly had like 2 things going, like of varying quality. You know, it's back then is when I discovered people like Douglas Murray, and I think I read Milo Yiannopoulos' book and stuff now, which I definitely realized was. Even when I would have considered myself more left wing, was definitely more right wing stuff. Like content I was consuming, but you know, it was there, and just like content is there on the internet in general, you get out of it what you're willing to put in to find.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, for instance, me running Alien Addict. Okay, we're talking about aliens and UFOs. And I might go into a little bit of conspiracies, obviously speaking code. But there's one aspect is like, okay, what can I bring to the table that's new? We've got social media that's helped with ufology, especially on what's on X. But at the same time, we're sort of regurgitating the same thing. So I thought, well, going back to what we're saying about reading books, people that don't know, I can't see this on screen, but I've got a pile of books here and a pile of books on my shelf, all dedicated to UFOs, like really, really old cases. I mean, for instance, I bought this book, which I unboxed on Alien Addict, and this is all to do with the Aztec crash of 1948. And look how big this book is, absolutely huge. I mean, this is an extremely rare book, cost me quite a lot of money, but I find enjoyment out of that, because this stuff is not on the internet, and that's what I find quite interesting to add to new content. But you're in a safe space, Lee, when it comes to your conspiracy podcast, because you can find easy 10-second TikTok videos and you can have a conversation on that. Do you know what I mean? So you've got that access there to, I mean, we are literally living in the year of the conspiracy theorist. We really are.
100%. I mean, even the UFO stuff in general, I saw just before we came on here, because I think it's never been more connected. Do you know what I mean? I think it was always something that maybe when I was on Alien Addict probably set me apart from the other people that I used to have on a show, because I don't understand where UFOs and conspiracy theorists got separated. Like, it's the guys that are into UFOs don't think they're conspiracy theorists. I've got fucking news for you guys. You're talking about fucking spacemen. It's like but you spend most of your time talking about how the government is conspiring to hide this. Sounds like some sort of conspiracy to me. But the connections between it all, I do think the UFO thing is being used at the minute to hide something or to promote something. I don't know whether you saw because this kind of ties in with what we were just talking about as far as cultural change. Did you see the 3-part series that Weaponized did with their new whistleblower?
I only catch the new one, only the first one. I haven't caught up, because the thing is with
they're worth it. I mean, the other 2 are worth it.
Are you sure?
Yes. No. Look, I come at this from a different angle. Is I'm still like I said back on fucking Alien Addict in like 2019, 2018, whatever it was when I first said it. For some reason, there's a concerted effort to make my mum believe in aliens, and she's never thought about it before. And so even if Corbell, because this is the thing, I don't believe Corbell is necessarily a I don't think he's an ascent. Yeah, I don't think he's an asset by any stretch of my imagination. I think he might be being used. I think he might be being used as a channel for information to put through. And I think what people in there have done is found somebody, probably after he did. I don't think it was from the beginning. I think it was probably after the Bob Lazar thing. Like I think because he'd already done a few documentaries and stuff like that before then. That the Lazar documentary was very much following in the vein of stuff he'd already done. And I think he's just right. Like he's a personable, interesting, like kind of quirky guy that you can they can throw out, and like he doesn't look as like fucking weird as the guy with the funny hair off Ancient Aliens. But like he's not boring. He's not like sticking a boring guy out in front of him, in front of everybody. But when you watch the rest of those two parts, like the first part sort of sets up who that guy is, why he's coming forward. The second part is him putting his information across. But like the very end of the third part, where they ask him what he wants to leave with, and he turned around, he says basically says like God is real, is what was like his closing statements. And from that third episode, even before he said that, I can see you'll have read Behold a Pale Horse, I take it.
That's the only book I haven't got, Lee. That's the
have
only
you
book
not?
I need to get. I tell you, I'm going to write that down now because have you read it by any chance? Have you got it?
I haven't read it. I listened to it.
Oh, you listened to it, okay. But it'd be good to have it in a book collection, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah,
it would be good to have it would be good to have an original and see if anything has been changed from it. But yeah, because it is really difficult to find on paperback, isn't it? But
yeah, you can find hard copies. I've seen of it. It's like £100 on eBay. It's ridiculous.
But like in Behold a Pale Horse, when they talk about this sort of stuff and the UFO element, the idea of a new religion being seeded through this type of thing, I kind of wonder whether that's what's going on. I know me and Dave kind of talked about it last night on the podcast. Yeah, I kind of wonder whether that's what this is for.
I mean, the God aspect. I mean, I've talked about my mushroom trips before, and it has turned me into from an atheist, not into an atheist. Mm-hmm. I think there's many types of gods. I would consider it as like an entity. And going from what that whistleblower said, is he talking about God like in the clouds? Like what?
He doesn't specify, and this is the weird thing about it. He doesn't specify which God. He doesn't specify if it's just his God. He doesn't specify if it's a new God.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not denying there is a creator. I believe we are created by at least something. I mean, but our DNA is too unique to basically just to sort of come from fish. Do you know what I mean? Like that concept for me doesn't make sense. You know, I've got the concept that if we look through our ancient past, through like stone tablets and stuff like that, you can see that there is some sort of god-like entities. Now, the mainstream would say, "Oh no, they're just imagining their gods." It's like, no, they're gone and put these amazing sort of structures of humans, well, almost like alien-like. So when they look at the Anunnaki, I would consider them as like giants with handbags, and this is going like thousands of years old, you know, way before the Egyptians. And it's definitely saying something. I mean, it's like the pharaohs of Egyptians. I think most probably they would look like pharaohs, to be honest with you, like, you know, with the cat head and everything like that. I mean, I'm not ruling that out if that was like a real thing. So I think a lot of what these ancient pastors were actually doing was actually drawing what they're actually seeing. And maybe these entities back then is what we're seeing now. And if you listen to like Graham Hancock sort of stuff, back in the past used to use psychedelics to sort of enhance and get in contact with these beings, or gods, so to speak. So I'm not ruling it out, man. But I think the idea there's the concept of God for me, that there's a guy in a cloud, the Christian aspect of that. I'm not ruling that out. I'm 50-50. I have to be 50-50 of a creator. But what
I believe in some sort of creator. I kind of hope I'm on the right team when it comes to it. You know, like if I die and get to the gates and fucking Allah's stood there, I'm going to be going, oh motherfucker! I could have changed. I could have switched teams. But yeah, you know, it's.
I think that concept alone is what scared a lot of people. There's a heaven and hell. I mean, that's been going for like over 5,000 years, and it hasn't changed one bit. In one way, you could say that's a bit like a fear tactic. It'd be like, take the vaccine because you might die.
But where's it come from, though? That's like, why have all these people, all these cultures over God knows how many years, of probably human race is has gone on much longer than we think it has. It's wild the concept of religion remains where all of the other things have gone. Like how the fuck were the pyramids built? We don't know, but we know what gods they had.
Exactly, yeah.
Religion remains.
Yeah. It's like, oh, the pyramids were built for the pharaohs. It's like, how do you know that? There's no English writing. How do you translate what they're actually saying, the hieroglyphs, into actual English language? How do you know that's actually correct? So that whole concept is... But the pyramids are so massive. I mean, Graham Hancock, Santha, she messaged me and she sent me some photographs of when they were in Iraq and everything like that. And you look at like the pyramids, it's huge, it's ginormous. You think, why do they build that for pharaohs? And there's other pharaohs that built like underground. You know, they're finding like these underground chambers that are actually away from the pyramids. So the whole concept of that, it was built for the king, just kind of makes no sense to me.
Have you spoke to Graham since the
pyramids,
I suppose, scans of underneath them? No,
he's been away. I was scheduled to see him, and Santha messaged me, says, "No, really sorry, but we had family members going on that day," which is fine. But they're back from Iraq, and I think they came from Turkey. So as soon as I do, I want to talk to him about it, because that's why I'm trying to get him on the show, just to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you. I think out of all the people to talk about what's actually underneath the pyramids, I think Graham has done the sensible route, and that is basically to keep his mouth shut, to say, look, well, I wouldn't say keep his mouth shut, to say, look, I don't know what this is. We need more data to prove. Yeah. And I think where a lot of trends has happened at the moment, look, I'm not bashing Jay Anderson. I love Project Unity, bring up some amazing stuff. But it seems like he was the first one to say there is some sort of structure underneath. But at the same time, did he watch the 3-hour?
Got himself played on Rogan through it.
I know, this is what I mean by trends, man. It's like, but did he actually read the whole conference or watch the whole conference, which was all in Italian, by the way? Did he read the paper before he made that video? Because what they're actually saying, that this is just basically a structure to actually hold the pyramids up. Not saying that's the case, but it went from holding a structure of the pyramids up to actually being some sort of tester coil. I'm guilty of that because I did an episode on Alien Addict and Hidden Underbelly as well, talking about that. You know, the possibility. Look, I'm not ruling that out. But what they were saying in the conference, that they used a lot of AI-generated stuff. They put it through an AI generator. And that just made me go, oh. So we're not actually seeing the genuine full data. Do you know what I mean? Like the 100% accuracy.
It's...
Not becoming a skeptic, do you know what I mean?
It gets a little bit like satellite imagery at that point, doesn't it? You know, so we took pictures of like 17 billion miles out into space. You go, did we really? Is that what we did? And so what? Or did we get a load of numbers back and somehow you fed that in and it gave you a picture of this blue fucking ball? It's I get it. Like I get the skepticism. What I do think's interesting is because we didn't really do a show on it, so unfortunately I subjected myself to 90% of this without having to. There's a book called The Pyramid Code, and it's an interesting little jaunt. And luckily enough, I didn't read it. I listened to it while I was doing lots of stuff one day in the house. But like, it took me a while. I had them headphones on for a while. I had to take them off twice to charge. And But the interesting thing about that book is the author isn't the author. The author has penned it for somebody that wanted to remain anonymous.
Okay.
And within that somewhere, like I apologize. Like I said, it was quite long, and I listened to it in one day. But what I took from it was part of that book says that there is structures underneath the pyramid, and underneath those structures is a large room which they refer to as the basement, which contains the tools and machinery that was used to create the pyramids. That's very much like those scans, because those scans have those tubes going down, and then there's that big sort of rectangular box at the bottom of it. Now, that book came out in like 2019, I think it was. 2018, 2019.
Okay.
So it was well before we'd even thought of any of these scan things. So I found that quite interesting.
There was an old vintage book I've got saved on my eBay. I can't remember what it was called. It's from the 70s, and it was even talking about some sort of structure underneath the pyramids. And obviously, there's the one in the middle one, isn't it? I can't. Is it something? I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, there's been rumors about that. But what could it possibly be? I think we've got the technology now to have a look, but are they going to allow to do further excavations of this? I doubt it very much. Do you know what it kind of reminds me of? Have you seen Total Recall, by any chance? The movie
When you were old.
The old one, the vintage one.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah, there's a part where the main character goes underground and he sees these massive structures, and to actually activate this, basically oxygen for the planet, they would need to activate the machine, but it looks like these massive tubular things coming down, and as soon as it hits the ground, it will activate. So do you know what kind of reminds me of, like the pyramid structures underneath the pyramid?
Yeah. No. I think I've got in my head what you're talking about, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So the other day I watched it, I was like, oh, that's a pretty badass movie, actually, come to think about it. But yeah,
well, there's been talks of shafts that have been covered up inside pyramids before, hasn't there? You know, there's been there's videos, I think, of people showing that the shafts underneath the Sphinx and stuff like that.
Yeah, we showed a video. We did a live show about obviously the pyramid structures, and we pulled out a video of the Sphinx, and they said, "Oh no!" Basically, they found this little opening at the back of it, and it led to this tunnel underground. But what they didn't show, there's an actual passageway at the top. And an actual guy went in there and actually snuck in, and he says, no, there are multiple passageways. But again, the modern day archaeology just won't tell you that. So they're obviously hiding something. Did you see the Joe Rogan clip? Obviously, everyone's seen it with the guy who's the famous archaeologist, and he was
the head of antiquities. Yeah.
Fucking hell, Jesus Christ! I mean, unbelievable.
If anything made me think that there is something else fucking going on with the pyramids, it was that guy. It's that I've met fucking snakes that seem more trustworthy than that guy.
Just the instant dismissal. Do you know what? Kudos to Joe Rogan to put him on the show, because it's showing the public how naive these people are. You know, dismissing.
Oh yeah.
Anything that's alternative. You know, anything alternative.
It's that thing, isn't it, of allowing people with enough rope to hang themselves. You know, it's the same. I'm sure it was the same outcome to what Rogan thought would happen when he had the Flint Dibble guy on with Graham Hancock as well, and Dibble was fucking eviscerated. Like he barely left that room with a career. And we've seen it like over and over again, like over the years on the Rogan podcast, where somebody's come in and they've exposed themselves because they're not used to having to keep some sort of cohesion of what they say for 1, 2, 3 hours.
I think a lot of it's to do with funding as well, because you think like the people that are pushing like the climate change, like the universities, the climate change nonsense, it's because they get funding. A lot of these archaeologists, I should say, are governmental funded, so they have to stick to a narrative. It's like you either say that or you're done, basically. And this is why they stigmatized Graham Hancock, and it's so clearly obvious. And this is why I said to Graham, I says, there was one period of time, I shouldn't really go too personal. You know, he's very down. I said, Graham, trust me. I said, you got such a big following. You got a massive following behind you and backing up behind you. So screw I mean, it's mostly like the trolls, and you're going to get that, especially Graham Hancock. I know that. You showed me some of the tweets. It's like private messages as well. It's like, fucking hell, it's like real nasty. But like I said, you know, people are starting to open their eyes now. I mean, like I said, social media, or not social media, mainstream media is failing, is dying. And it's people like you and the Daily Conspiracy podcast are actually bringing out the news. Is why your viewership are going up, because the trust in mainstream media, and even like the science or anything mainstream, people just don't trust it anymore. It's a massive shift in that as well.
It is scary though, isn't it? Like the play was so hard during COVID that the ripples of what happened, because realistically, you know, it should have just been aimed at the kind of the pharmaceutical industry and health advisors and stuff like that, but the ripples spread across all elements of the establishment. You know, from policing to local governments to TV news to large podcasters and like fucking large YouTubers. You know, like that. There was a real weird uptick in of people that I believe now were probably paid of tech YouTubers, because tech YouTubers were so big, like paid to push vaccine stuff. And then you have I can't remember what one of there used to be like an Apple guy who had a stroke. He's still recovering from that. I think Justine had like a blood clot at some point. Dude, I do find it fucking insane the amount of people that were pushing, like as in like non-expert group people, like I say, like the tech YouTubers or TV personalities.
Yeah,
the amount of those people that were that didn't need to push it, but chose to and went through with it, that ended up having these fucking like health effects from it afterwards, like some sort of galactic karma coming back on them. I find it really weird, like genuinely, like I can't, because it doesn't seem to be that prevalent outside of, you know, in the normal world. But yeah, it's weird.
A lot of these politicians, celebrities, I mean, they're all paid off, and they were paid off
by
the pharmaceutical company. I mean, it was very, very obvious. I mean, that's bloody like scandalous alone, you know, really pushing a narrative from the pharmaceutical company. I can't believe I'm saying all this stuff because I'm so used to YouTube. I'm just like, can't say stuff like this, you know.
Yeah. I think you can now a bit on YouTube, can't you? It seems safer.
Have you seen Alien Addict's views? Because they keep talking about chemtrails every 5 minutes.
They don't like chemtrails.
I know. That's one thing.
Well, they're fucking government fucking sponsored now. Basically come out the other day.
All right, okay. I need to do a plug here. So obviously I run Alien Addict. I've got my own YouTube channel called The Cosmic Twilight, and I've got an Investigate with Nick 89 on Rumble. Okay, so what I've been doing is that I've been filming the skies every single day for the past 4 years now. I've got nearly over 1,000 videos on my Rumble channel. And what I do, I film the skies 24/7, day and night, okay? I track these trails, see what they do, and whether or not they actually block out the sun. I mean, yes, the government has initialized, £10 million to actually fund geoengineering. But I'm telling you something now, ladies and gentlemen, these chemtrails don't make a sodding difference. They do not dim the temperature. And I've got...
Well, this is the wild thing. I would have thought, for me... Wouldn't that have an insulating property?
Oh, mate, I'm so glad you made that. Oh, my God. I've been saying this for ages. Right, you think they spray the skies to reflect the sunlight back into space. That's fine. But if you got UV, like ground radiation, like for instance, here's a typical example. And you made such a good point. I'm glad you mentioned it. One day I was working with my boss. It was like 25 degrees. It was hot, sticky and humid, very typical for English weather. It went all cloudy, like this big, thick cloud, but you can still see the sun shining through. It was so humid. And I was like flipping out. So I'm really struggling here to bloody breathe. I can remember that day so clearly. Now, what that cloud was, which was called cirrostratus, basically is white sheen that blankets the sun, is completely natural. But chemtrails do the same thing. If it's going to reflect the sunlight back into space, it's going to trap the heat in the ground. So if you've got a specific hot day and you spray the skies and blanket the sun out, it's going to trap the heat in, creating what's called a greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
So you're not really blocking out the sun at all, you know. I've done about 13 videos on trail analysis, which you can find on my YouTube channel, The Cosmic Twilight. And you can see, I did one yesterday. This is like my 13th video I've done. It was extremely bad during the morning, around about 6:30. You can see the small trails, and you can see it was getting progressively worse. And I track the trails every single hour throughout the whole day and see what actually
You
does.
must be amazing at parties.
Oh, mate, tell me about it. No one speaks to me. No one speaks to me. I want to talk about chemtrails, and no one's like, oh, this bloody idiot talking about these bloody snakes in the sky. But honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't really affect the temperature. It's still hot. You know, It's not really blocking out the sun. And then the fact, if you take like England as a whole, imagine spraying the whole entire country in chemtrails, completely blanket it out. And then is that supposed to help world temperature? Do you know what I mean? Like that concept.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
So this is why I'm saying there's something else behind it, Lee. They're saying it. Why would the government admit to spraying the skies when the chemtrail community has been talking about it for years?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not denying chemtrails, but it's like they're pushing something. Like, why would they admit it? It's like fueling the chemtrail community, you know?
Well, I find it strange as well that the British thing came out about chemtrails, about the idea of, we could dim the sun.
Yeah.
At the same time as that rando person that definitely wasn't a plant asked Robert Kennedy Jr. about chemtrails.
Yeah, it was at the same time, wasn't it? Yeah,
Same week.
Oh, same week was it? Bloody hell!
I'm sure it was. It was within. If it wasn't the same week, it was within. It was within 2 weeks.
Okay.
And you like chemtrails? I think. Got to be one of the first conspiracies I ever heard of. Got to be.
It's easy conspiracy to get into because they're right above your head. And I must stress this now, guys. Okay, I've got, for instance, I'll pick a book. Here's a book here. Okay, Cloud Formations, and it's out 1944. Lee, this is 1944. I got another one here from 1943. I'm just going to show you, okay, that back in World War II, the trails can persist. Okay. And there's one reason why they would persist, and to tell the pilots not to travel at a certain altitude, because the Germans will see these trails forming in the sky, and that would alert the Germans to actually shoot these planes down. And in here, and this is a book from 1942, and you can see condensation trails.
Right.
So I've got about 25 books on cloud formations that shows you that these trails we see in the sky have been going on for decades. It's nothing new. But what we're seeing from horizon to horizon, you know, it's almost like a grid-like pattern you see in the sky.
Yeah.
That is not mentioned in any of my books here. That's only a relatively new phenomena. So what I'm saying to people now is that...
Could that just be caused by volume of traffic, though?
Yeah, this is it. Because now there's more people on the planet. I mean, if you look at how many planes are traveling any given moment, it's millions of them. It's absolutely loads. So obviously aviation and planes have changed over the years, especially when it comes to the engine. I mean, it is more or less like a basic concept, but not every single trail you see in the sky is weather modification. And this is what's happened with the chemtrail community. I've been in this community since 2007, Lee, and it's changed so much since COVID. It's like the retardation of people. Like they're literally taking pictures of clouds, filming clouds, and going, "That cloud's not normal." It's like, well, how do you know that cloud ain't normal? Well, I didn't see that cloud I didn't see that cloud when I was young, and I'm 45 and I've never seen it. It's like, well, why not pick up a book and have a little look to see whether these clouds ever happened before? And it seems to be very narrow-minded, but almost a very narcissistic way of how they treat.
it goes back to the woman that puts the Ukrainian flag in her bio. People have taken that and they've made it part of their personality. So the next thing is like Johnny, who used to be like Johnny on Instagram, is now Johnny Chemtrails, and it's got to be chemtrails have to be everywhere, otherwise Johnny Chemtrails has got nothing to post.
Exactly. There was one video I showed on Alien Addict, and it was so hilarious. It was a guy from Australia. He's filming himself, and then he turns the camera around, and he's narrating what's going on in the sky. And I tell you what, Lee, it was in Australia, and he had these tiny, very, very faint trails. You can practically see through them. And it's going, oh, this is called geoengineering. This cloud ain't normal. This is weather modification. The guy is squinting and he's shirtless. Oh, they're blocking out the sun. They're dimming the sun. It's like, yeah, but you're shirtless, mate. And you can't see because the sun is in your eyes. You know, these people, like, they're so new to the phenomena. And look, I understand going through an awakening process. You know, you've gone from CNN brain to actually 360 conspiracy brain. It does take a toll on you, but you can't rule out rational thought. Do you know what I mean? It's like, just ask yourself this question: have these trails been going on before? Yes, for absolutely decades. There's nothing like we're seeing now. And I've got a book here from 1960s, and it's saying that these trails in the sky are condensation trails, and they can spread out and last for several hours. And that is in the book from the 1960s. But the chemtrail believer will be like, no, that's fake. I mean, for instance, when I did a live show on chemtrails, I alluded to it on Alien Addict. You know, I didn't get into full detail. And I was showing pictures of clouds, and I was showing pictures of what people were showing on basically social media as, this is a very strange cloud. This cloud, I've never seen this cloud before. I'm like, right, here's a book from the 1960s, and here is the same cloud. And still, people in chat were going, no, I don't remember seeing that when I was younger. And I'm
yeah, you weren't looking at
old.
clouds. You weren't looking at clouds when you were 6. Like you were out. You were playing with your friends. That sort of thing. You know, the only time you saw a cloud is if it happened to look like a hippopotamus. But I was just going to say, so do you are like on chemtrail front then? Because that's what I can't quite get here. Do you believe that geoengineering is going on right now, or let's not say, because it might not be geoengineering, to be perfectly honest, it might be something completely different. But do you believe that some of the trails are man-made for a purpose?
I do believe in some given days, only some given days, Lee. I mean, for instance, I've been filming the skies for 4 years, and the amount of times is extremely bad that makes any effect on the whole day is probably 3 times out of that year. Out of the whole year, just 3 times. Now, is that going to make a difference to climate change? Is that going to literally make affect the temperature? No. So the whole outcome of why they're spraying the skies does not make sense. I think there's something else to it. Yes, they're spraying the skies. Look, I'm not denying chemtrails. Chemtrails is a real thing, but I think the narrative that's been put out is to help for your benefit, Lee. We need to block the sun out. Not block the sun out, but dim it, you know, for your benefit, because of climate change. It's like, why are you doing it for our benefit? Like, for instance, Bill Gates, he wants to put chemicals in the cows to stop them from farting, to help you, to save the planet, because stop the cows from farting because of methane. Is like, that concept is retarded. That is not going to make any difference at all. But it's to help for your benefit. And I'm thinking, well, if Bill Gates is involved with this, and even the government funded this, I'm like, there's something else behind it, and they're not really telling us. But we're going by the narrative is that they want to dim the sun because of climate change.
Yeah. See,
do you know what
I mean? I'm going to kind of rehash something I've already said. I said last night. I think even the idea of control ends up being kind of daft, because it's no. I mean, even like control of people, like control of the narrative and stuff like that, because they would have had so much of a better chance doing what they're doing in 2001.
Oh, God,
when people were happy, people were just going about the business. People were doing stuff. You could have done all the stuff you wanted. So why are we doing it now? Why are we making it so blatant? That's really what I don't understand.
Yeah, it's either this is all planned out on purpose. This is it.
That's what I think it is. There was something called the bullshit hypothesis, where essentially the bullshit hypothesis is all conspiracy theories are fake, But the conspiracy theory is that they're all created by the government just to make noise.
Yeah, right. That's like a distraction, isn't it? You know, to
It's just so it's just there's a guy in a basement, like Fox Mulder in it, and it's just his job to invent conspiracy theories and go onto Reddit and like stick one out here and go over to 4chan and stick something else up there, and it infects everything. And that's I do worry sometimes. I think this is something that our listeners should definitely think too. Is there isn't a day that goes by where at least at some point during that day I think, am I full of shit? Like, am I just like the most gullible person in the world? All this is wrong. The newspapers might be right. The jab was safe and effective. All that sort of stuff. Like maybe like I'm just wrong about not just a few things, just wrong about everything. And I think if you can keep thinking that to yourself, you avoid becoming the guy that's topless in Australia taking pictures of clouds.
Exactly. Yeah. And you make a really, really good point there. It's that perspective of going through that awakening process.
Am I the knobhead? Everybody should ask themselves daily, am I the knobhead?
Exactly. And I think it's a very healthy way of doing it. It's like, am I full of shit? Okay, let's just really look at the narrative here. And this is where two subjects we're really looking into that has completely changed my perspective on the subject. One is obviously chemtrails, and the other one is obviously given by name Nazi Nick, is obviously Nazi flying saucers. Yeah. Obviously buying publications for that. Now, any typical internet researcher who've been looking into anti-gravity flying saucers that the Germans created in World War II was saying, oh yeah, they created it. We have photographs, we have blueprints. There's a person called Maria Orsip. We had the Vril Society. I'm like, right, okay. That was me back in 2007 until I started buying the publications, the books, going all the way back to like World War II to 1950s to where we are now. And I'm going, this is all bullshit. And then there's only a couple of people that's really researched into this topic would all say the same thing. The Germans didn't build anti-gravity flying saucers. That was just stories that were made up. There really isn't a Vril Society. The Maria Orsik was obviously made up, but a typical internet researcher would go, no. We've got blueprints. We've got factual evidence for it. I'm like, yeah, but where did this evidence come from? And that's
why
where
wasn't it used?
Yeah, exactly. But said they would have used it. I mean, the Germans were well advanced during World War II. And if they would have built these anti-gravity flying saucers in like 1939, early 40s, we would have seen it. Now, granted, there are documents, I'm not joking, from the CIA from the 1950s, that there were prisoners from war that were actually seeing flying saucers. I'm not joking, but at the same time,
that's where Foo Fighters came from as well, isn't it? Foo Fighters was Second World War.
You had Foo Fighters, and you also had the turbine-driven aircraft. These were like flying turbine-driven discs that were more or less sensible. I mean, they more or less would have created
turbine-driven.
Yeah, turbine. They were actually flying discs. Do you know? Yeah, there was three. So basically, I got some photographs.
Oh, sorry. So you mean man-made ones?
Yeah, man-made ones.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant they were seeing turbine discs that were like not like either side. With just like no, they didn't know who they were. Sorry, I got you.
Yeah. So basically, I've got a photograph here if I want to bring it up. But
Yeah.
These are basically, this is a more realistic avenue. So basically what we're dealing with here is that, take the bottom picture here, we've got basically like a helicopter style blade going around, and that was spinning around with rockets, and that's what basically levitated these discs. So flying saucers, I consider them as the anti-gravity Haunebu real flying saucers, but this was more or less that I believe that they did create during World War II. And you had German scientists and you had Italian scientists as well at that time period who came forward in newspapers and magazines in the early 50s saying, look, we did design something that was a flying disc, but it wasn't anti-gravity. This was just like jet propelled, basically. And that's basically what it was. So this sounds more sensible than anti-gravity tachyon drive, flying saucers. That is quite prevalent.
I don't, but unless we've hit some sort of like real like breakaway civilization, and by breakaway civilization I mean like breakaway, like it's not not part of anything, not part of the government, not part of like private industry. It's beyond all of that. Like just like a separate group of humans that live like fucking under the ocean or something like that. That type of breakaway civilization. I don't believe we've got any like 0-point energy or anti-gravitic energy. That's sort of thing. I think we might have some cool stuff. I'm sure we've got some cool stuff, but I do not believe that you would have people like Jeff Bezos, people like Elon Musk, putting billions into solid fuel rockets just for show. Like I'm sure the flat earthers, which I fucking love you dearly. It's one of my favorite conspiracies. Yeah, I'm sure the flat earthers are screaming. Yeah, well, it's all to fucking back up the fact that Earth's a globe. But I just don't. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, I could be the knobhead in this situation. Maybe the world is a stage, but I just don't believe that sort of minutiae of detail is in, well, people are going to ask where the rockets are, so we need private rocket companies that are going to pour fucking billions into solid fuel rockets, wasting the time and fucking energy of some of the smartest people on the planet just to give the impression that that's the height of technology. That doesn't make any fucking sense to anybody.
You've got a good point there, but I would argue with this, Lee. If you look at UFO sightings for the past 90 years, it's gone from, obviously, balls of light has been there, hundreds of years, basically. We know that. So it went from flying saucers, 1940s, 50s, 60s. Then it went to more or less like flying triangles. And then it went to like balls of light. And then we're back to like Tic Tacs and everything. So there it seems to be a
past Tic Tacs thing. We're fucking biological entities now, motherfucker. We're at brains and jellyfish now.
There seems to be like a very recurring thing. Now I could say, well, that's obviously the government have got some advanced technology. And look, I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the photographs from the 1950s, 60s look pretty shit. The flying saucers, the typical brim of the hat ones we normally see. A typical example, Billy Meyer, that sort of style. I know you could say a Bob Lazar sort of style, sort of aircraft, that sort of way. I do believe they have cracked gravity somehow. If you look through like Tesla papers and everything like that, I mean, it seems to be more advanced.
But for what use if it's not being used?
Well, especially for propulsion systems, that's for sure. Energy. I mean, for instance, why would they come public and say, right, we've got free energy. You can run a car on free energy. Now, you think what our enemies can do with that technology? You can basically take that, scrap it down, and make basically a weapon out of that.
But that would rely on one country cracking it,
China,
and then being altruistic enough. If altruism's the real point of it, altruistic enough to go, this is too dangerous. We can't use it in case it gets into the wrong hands. I just don't believe that's in people's nature. I think we are a violent predator that, if given an advantage over other people, especially if those other people have resources, that it would have been deployed by now. That sort of technology, you could launch like a simultaneous attack on all fucking enemy nations at the same time in an instant, and have a war started and finished within an hour. A global war started and finished within an hour, where you've neutralized, and there would be an address in the president from the president if it's U.S. saying Operation fucking Eaglecock was a success, and like the U.S. empire begins from today.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, in terms of like technology, I just don't think it's going to be more or less in the public hands. If it is coming to the public, I mean, look at AI, what we can do with that now. I mean, that's a very, very loose example, but in terms of what potentially building,
which private industry brought that
Yeah, good point actually. Yeah, but it's not exactly like a propulsion system you'd be able to use to actually, like, for instance, like destroy a building or something like that.
No, you couldn't destroy a building, but you could destroy the fabric of society as we know it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, to be honest with you, this is a really sketchy one. To be honest, I mean, we are dealing with like I said, I don't really follow Ashton Forbes, but the things that he does say has sort of proven up. Look, that the military contractors do have some sort of advanced technology, whether not to do with propulsion, advanced weapon systems. There is definitely something out there that the public is not being told about. I mean, we would have known about UFOs by now, if they would have just. I mean, so extraterrestrial craft we're talking about here. But they're obviously hiding something. And I mean, when was the last time a new spy plane was released by the Americans? I mean, they kept the U2. I mean, they kept the U2 secret for 30 years. Imagine what the technology they got now, Lee. You know what I mean? It's all, again, speculation. But
the last thing I remember was the unmanned, like, aerial spacecraft that they had up for like 5 years, something like that landed, and they kind of they said, oh yeah, this is a thing when it landed.
Unless it crashed did like the other one did.
Look, I'm with the camp that thinks it's spiritual, like this whole thing.
Oh yeah,
like
totally.
the aliens, the UFOs and stuff. I was listening to it, definitely, like, for our listeners, something we're definitely going to talk about in the podcast probably tomorrow. The Tucker Carlson interview that he just did with Sean Ryan. It's the little things, right? When you consider that people like Sean Ryan and Tucker Carlson, they are, I like, if there's good guys to be had, I think they're definitely on the good guy team. I know there's people going to be screaming at their fucking phones now going, but he's got a red bracelet on. Oh, fuck off. So when you've got, like, Tucker Carlson, which talks about, like, being attacked by physically attacked by a demonic entity. When you've got Sean Ryan, who starts talking about this stuff in the thing, and I was amazed. In the foundations where Sean Ryan has built his new studio, they built the studio and they built fucking, like, they put, like, Bibles underneath the foundations and wrote scripture on, like, all the, like, wooden frame of the building before they started to build the building. And he said, we did it for protection. He said that it's, like, from the foundations to the walls. He said that it's a fucking sign of my faith, essentially. I find that really interesting because those people have access to, not like in a military access, but they have access to people which have access to things that we don't have access to. And these people are coming to these conclusions, whether be it that they're using, like, hallucinogens and psychedelics and stuff to like, to pull the curtain back. We've both been there. We know that there's something fucking outside of the fucking physical realm that we can see, and if you can get yourself to the point, and I don't recommend, this is not a recommendation for it, this is just purely an observation, that if you get yourself in the position where you cross that line, it makes every day afterwards a very different experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, look at, like, Tucker Carlson's experience. Correct me, Lee. Did you say he got attacked by a demon or the devil?
I think it was a demon. I think you just said demonic.
Demonic, yeah. So there's some sort of entity. I thought it was a demon, which is completely different to demons. Is that right?
I'd put that as a demonic entity. A demon is a demonic entity.
Yeah. I guess so. Through my experiences in the shamanic realms, as one would say, and I did some pretty high doses as well, there is definitely something out there. And if you look through, like, paranormal cases as well, and I think the paranormal, the ghost, is linked up to the alien phenomena, the spiritual alien phenomena. I think it's all literally connected. There seems to be like some sort of vibration that we're stuck in. We can't really see our perspective, but I think like we're tuned to radio 4, for instance. If we want to go to like radio 1, we need to either go through the meditation or take some sort of hallucinogenic to actually, even through meditation, to go through these other realms, which you will see these entities. So the idea, I mean, this is going off like conspiracy realm here, as we're part of a conspiracy podcast, is that I think CERN has done something to open up some sort of portal in recent years, I reckon, because these spiral effects. I remember the spiral that happened not long ago, Lee. Could you remember that?
Yeah. There's been a couple of them, hasn't there?
Yeah. Well, they've been going on for a long period of time. In fact, on Alien Addict, I showed someone called Vladimir Tazinski. He did a presentation in 1994, and he brought out a book, and it was a UFO sighting in China, and it's a sighting that went, I think it was back in like the early or late 19th century, and you see the spiral in the sky. Someone's actually drawn it, and it's just what we're seeing. It's it's exactly the same spiral. So this has been going on for a long period of time. It's immensely fascinating. It really is. I don't know if I've got the photograph with me. So there's something's going on. I think there is a cross between the human realm and the spiritual realm, so to speak. And I think we've kind of seen that more or less in the skies, because things are.
Do you ever feel?
I have to admit,
right? In your experience of this stuff, do you ever feel that do you ever get reminded of the feeling of being there, like in normal time, like normal outside time?
Yeah, it's actually caused various panic attacks for me.
See,
yeah.
I like not so much panic attacks, but during like my sort of big trip which I had, I was faced with a man. I know it's weird. I shouldn't even think it's a man, because it makes no sense me gendering him, to be honest. Not just because it's 25, because of what I'm going to say. He was a man with a bowler hat and a suit on, but he had no face. He had no face, and it's not like just no eyes. Like the forehead to the mouth was flat, essentially. Either flat or maybe concave, like sort of round, but there was no facial features. And he just stood in front of me. And I think about that man far more than is normal to think about something. And there's times where I think about it, and even now, like in my mind's eye, I can see him. And there is times I could be at work, I could be in a swimming pool, or like getting changed in the changing room, I could be at the gym, and I think about him, and I feel like he's there.
It's made that last effect.
No, not just the lasting effect. I can feel that he's actually outside of vision here. And it's a strange thing. It's like it's not all the time. Oddly enough, rarely happens in my home. Rarely do I get that feeling in my home. But I can just be out somewhere, and like I'll think about that, and it's like you get that goosebumpy. I'm alone in the room here, but am I alone in the room here?
Yeah, I understand. So one of the experiences that I have, Lee, is when I haven't done a trip in a while, but when I do it, it's always in the hallway here. I can feel a presence, and I always see like a black shadow. I can see it. I don't feel like it's threatening. But I don't want it to ruin the trip and all that. And my missus says, look, why don't one day we just do like a little seance and all that? I said, babe, the last thing we want to do is conjure up flipping entities. Because the thing is what's happening, you are basically allowing these entities to come in. You're giving it permission to come into your visual realm. And I think a possibility, not adding paranoia to your senses already, But the fact that you might have given it permission, and it kind of reminds you, like now and then, like, "Hey, I'm still here." But was it?
It showed me a load of stuff as well. That was the thing. Like I'm not going to call it visions because that's probably, although that's probably closer to what it is. And this is the most annoying thing because I can remember everything so vividly of like 99% of that trip, but there's maybe 5. I always have painting in my head for some reason, like 5 paintings with stuff on them. I cannot fucking conjure the words and thoughts up to explain to myself what were in those paintings, and it irritates me so much. And they were shown to me right after the guy in the hat came to me, and I don't have access. Whatever was fucking on those paintings, I do not have the fucking I do not have the clearance to fucking log into that part of my brain and find them again.
Yeah, I think that's part of your. You need to go back in that shamanic realm, man. And I don't recommend doing like drug reviews. Obviously, the people listening to this podcast are all adults and all that. We're not saying go out and have these experiences because you've got to be in the right mindset for that sort of stuff. But I understand there seems to be a very similarity with the experiences that anyone who's gone through the shamanic realms. And this is what I struggled with first of all, because I couldn't really speak to anybody about it. You're going through these amazing experiences. And I was back, it was about a couple of years ago, I was doing it every single week. And I think it's done a bit of damage. And actually, it started to trigger panic attacks because there was one time where I took too much. I was not in a right frame of mind. And I was going out of consciousness into my real reality. And my God, I was tripping balls. And that panic set in. Like, shit, I would have called the ambulance if my missus wasn't there, even the police. Like, I would have been screaming in the street. It was that bad. I was panicking so much because everything goes pixelated, and then you go, oh shit, that's when I'm going to go back into the realm, like this other realm, and I'm not ready for it. And then, I mean, Dave will talk about this, he knows what he's talking about, but that panic has always set in. I'm more calmer these days, but that year really triggered, like out of the blue, like I'll be driving and be like, shit, I'm panicking there. The same sort of feeling again. It did something, but in terms of entities, I think I allowed it not. I think it's here. My missus can see it. I mean, my missus is a bit psychic because her mum was psychic as well. So I think she's got that sort of. It's brought down through family, but she doesn't feel it that it's threatening. And the last thing I want to do, like I said, is get in contact with it, because that is like full on permission. It's like, okay, we're having a conversation here, and the last thing I want to do is have a flipping entity leaning over me at like 3 a.m. and like, you know what, I just don't need this right now. You know?
I see. This is what I think all the bullshit that we're getting fed at the moment is in place of that they're saying everything, but there's a fucking unseen realm that lives next to us. It's probably where we go when we die. That's probably the next point of consciousness and existence. Why they won't say that to us, I have no idea. Although I do wonder whether that's the control mechanism. Because if you were to keep, if you were like because I don't like referring to the like politicians and like the billionaire classes as like the elites. I think it gives them too much credit. They're a predator class, and they use people like you. Look at your office. If you have a problem, you go to human resources. What a fucking dehumanizing term to use for an entire workforce is a human resource. However, if you were to like turn around to everyone and say, oh yeah, I know you can't like afford your rent this week, and like gas prices are really high, and you can't afford all of the food you want, but you gotta have to make a choice, aren't you, between that internet and food. But they were also to put out, Oh yeah, and again, like fucking, this is not. I've got to choose my fucking words very carefully here because I don't want this to sound like. I don't want this to get to the wrong ears at the wrong time.
All right.
But if those people were to also be told at the same time, oh yeah, but you're also a fourth dimensional entity that's trapped inside a meat suit that will exist eternally outside of this, what do you think desperate people are going to do?
You know, they're going to go like, oh, that sounds interesting. Or if they're in a really bad frame of mind, if they're depressed, you know, they're most likely going to do the wrong thing and, you know, take their own life. That's the worst aspect of it.
Yeah. And I'd like to think that was a act of compassion from from our overlords, but I don't think it is. I think it's just because they can't risk losing too many people. Because who would help them make the billions to make the super yachts?
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's like the whole depopulation whole thing. I'm like, I thought we were overpopulated.
Who's going to buy the iPhones? Makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, they want to reduce the population to like 500,000 people or 500 million. I'm going, yeah, but how are they going to make money? How are they going to make profit? I thought the whole idea is to actually buy stuff. You know, this is how the economy works. Because, you know, we've got to buy stuff to keep the things going. And if you've got less of that, they're going to make less money. Do you understand? Like the whole concept don't make sense at all.
And then the thing of the people say, oh yeah, but with AI, they're not going to need the people. But like these people, when you've got so much money, and so then there's no more money. Like Elon Musk does not need more money. So what does he do? What does he do next? For good or bad, I'll let you make your own minds up for it. He gets involved in politics and is one of the big reasons that President Trump is elected. So what does the man that's got everything do? He influences everything. What did fucking Bill Gates do? I do not believe that Bill Gates fucking climate fucking sprayer is the same Bill Gates that started a software company and released the Xbox. But there gets a point where you've got so fucking much that you need to find the next thing. What's next for me to do? And when you get so high, it's like, I'm gonna control the world, aren't I? I'm gonna fucking James Bond fucking baddie this bitch. I'm convinced that's what breeds it.
I don't think Elon Musk is going to be at that point. I mean, he seems like on our side, but I'm still a bit like, 50-50 with him. I really am. I do believe that he wants to do good, and he has made a big
hope
influence.
So. But do you know, right? Do you know what the weird thing is? Like how many kids he's got now? 13?
Who?
Elon Musk, 12, 13 kids, something like that.
You joke? I have no idea, mate.
Yeah. Also, loads of different women. There's who is the famous woman that he's got a child to?
Oh, it's not that porn star, is it?
Amber Heard.
Oh,
is it Amber?
Yeah. I think.
No. Amber Heard's pregnant now, isn't she? And people are saying, "Oh, is that Elon Musk's 13th kid? I think it'll be. I think it'll be the 13th son." Now,
condom.
People can no, but this is the wild thing, because he's had various children with people while he's still been with other people, but there's never widespread cheating allegations over Elon Musk. Is because they were all conceived through artificial insemination.
No.
Yeah. Go find it. Go on. Go off. Go.
See you later, Nancy Nick. I don't know. It's like the whole. I mean, I look into Aleister Crowley, and that guy fucked his way through his life.
But this is the thing. What I'm saying is the guy. I think the guy that is so pro family and so pro this and pro that. I don't think he's fucked any of these bitches.
I don't know. He doesn't seem like that autistic. I mean, look, I know some asexual people.
Really?
Dude, honestly, I'm not joking. Like there are some people that on the autistic realm don't think about that at all, and I don't think Elon is on that path. He seems very bright, very intelligent, but I'm pretty sure likes to get his dick wet at some point. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem the type. He seems to.
I believe that is out there knowledge that they were conceived artificially.
So what's that, coming into a tube and then getting a turkey baster and put it?
Maybe. Don't know.
Is that what it's done? Oh, no, I'll see you long the next time I see you.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I didn't know he had 12 kids, 13 kids. I don't know. That's... And
kind of makes me wonder if the 13 one's special for something.
Oh, number 13. I bet he'd be born on a Friday as well. Friday the 13th.
Probably.
Oh, man. I don't know about that. The thing is, times will tell. It's 50-50 when it comes to Elon, because he's helped being part of finding... what's he been doing? Is it DOS or something like that? Doze or something like that? He's been part of
Doge, yeah. He's found all this government corruption. I think there's a very good chance that without Elon buying Twitter, none of us have like internet type jobs anymore, because I think everything would have just gone lockstep with like European guidelines and stuff, and then alternate content would have just been stamped out. Podcasts and blogs and stuff like that would have been confined to like the dark web, I think, with the other criminal activity. So I think there is stuff there. Like people say, oh yeah, but people still get banned on X, and people doing this. Well, I don't see a lot of people that are banned. I see some people saying some pretty fucking dreadful things, and they're not banned. So I still believe that there is a reasonable fucking thing of free speech. I think that free speech to a point, I 100% agree with. I don't think people should be able to call for violence to other people, and at least within common sense as well. If you were to turn around to someone, although it's not particularly nice, but just say like the world would be a fucking better place if you were in it, that's different than somebody trying to incite people to go and fucking out you. I think that's different.
I mean, if you look at like David Icke, for instance, he's always talking about the J's and the I's. I can't say the word. I'm talking about. What I'm talking
David
about.
Icke has lost his fucking mind, and I think he is 100% controlled opposition.
Do you reckon?
Everyone. You watch David Icke. So I've lost it. Like, we don't on the Daily Conspiracy podcast. I'm sure David is fucking like. I'm sure he's awful. I'm sure he found this awful. We don't follow him anymore because it was just a case of everyone's in it. Joe Rogan puts a tweet up. Oh, of course you'd say that, Joe. You were one of them. Fucking Andrew Tate says something. He's one of them. Alex Jones is one of them. Fucking everybody but David Icke is fucking in on it. I don't get it.
The thing is with David Icke, he's been in the alternative realm for a long period of time, like since the early 90s, isn't it? When you look at it, when he had his Rogan interview. So I've noticed become very snobby. It's like, I've been talking about this for 30 years, why didn't I get recognition? He's got that mindset. He's very narcissistic, very naive. Do you know what I mean? A very like.
I think he considers it a private hangout. It's his private hangout, and he should be king.
Yes, perfect. That's a perfect example of it. He's become very bitter. I have to admit, very bitter.
I find him difficult to, it's because he's saying all of the things about everybody else that people used to say about him.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
It's really weird. Especially Alex Jones. If there's two people that, if left in a room together, should get on, it's probably him and Alex Jones.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
To have them going out of it. Yeah, I understand.
I mean, I'm 50-50 whether they end up kissing if you leave them in there long enough.
Who's sucking whose dick on this one?
But yeah, I do. I think there's a real good chance that David Icke is like a controlled opposition, because who's paying for fucking Icke Conic or whatever it's called?
I know he does a lot of tours. and he still sells his books. So he must be making some sort of profit. The amount of books he's brought out over the years.
Oh no, but he's got a whole media company working now. Like that, like Iconic is a whole self-sustaining media company. Who's paying for that in the land of free alternative content like that's put out in the world of podcasts and YouTube videos and Rumble? Who's paying fucking $10.99 or whatever it is for David Icke?
Yeah, this is it. I wouldn't even pay $10.99 for flipping Rumble, and I've got over nearly 1,000 videos on there. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't pay that.
Joe, and realistically, I didn't have to. It was just the way the cards thing. The only person that's made me go out and do something was Rogan when he went to Spotify. I never used to use Spotify, and I didn't. Although I'm the reason they gave Joe Rogan 500 million. Is because I never used Spotify. I downloaded Spotify to use so I could listen to his podcast, and then eventually in a year or two, I sacked Apple Music, and I just thought I can just have one app. I can just have one app for music and podcasts.
Yeah,
I am the target audience for the Rogan buyout. But that's the only person I've ever gone out of my way for content for.
Yeah. He's
people should absolutely go out of their way for Daily Conspiracy Podcast content. We've gone fucking so long for a normal Daily Conspiracy Podcast. This has been fucking awesome today. So please, if you are an hour and 50 odd minutes into this show, make sure you leave a comment. Tell us how you think the show's going. Tell me what you think Dave and Ollie are up to, and if they're doing it together.
I tell you what, I called Ollie yesterday, and I swear to God, I could hear men grunting and all that. I'm like, where are you, Ollie? He goes, oh, I'm at the gym. Yeah, I'm like, fuck it. Sounds like a fucking gay glory hole or something like that.
Yeah, we don't make. Listen, 99% of the things we say on this show, we're not lying. He's a freak. He's into some dark shit. They weren't fucking human beings you heard grunting. They were animals, and that was pain.
Oh, that's what a cow sounds like. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna come. Sounds like I'm coming from a cow. Okay, get it.
Yeah, that's that's how a chihuahua fucking begs for its life. But yeah, if you want to get our content ad free, obviously you've listened to a load of adverts now. Treat yourself tomorrow. Don't listen to any adverts. So go to Patreon, sign up to our Patreon. The link will be in the description of this podcast. We have a merch store you can go and get t-shirts from. The link to the merch store is also in this podcast. You can follow us on most of the social medias at the Daily Conpod. Just look for us. You can follow us on YouTube, Daily Conspiracy Podcast. I think that's all of the things I need to say. Nick, tell everybody what you're going to be doing and what you're going to be up to and where you're going this week.
Cool. Right, so on Friday on Alien Addict at 9 o'clock, I'll be going live talking about crop circles and just general UFO related topics and stuff like that. So I always find old cases to talk about, and I'll be putting out a chemtrail video on my YouTube channel called The Cosmic Twilight, which sounds extremely gay now, come to think about it, which I might change. But yeah, it's cosmic and twilight, Lee, are two bloody words you don't put together. It just sounds pink and fucking colourful.
Was that was Cosmic Twilight thought up by the person I think it was thought up by?
No, it's actually AI.
Oh, was it? Okay. Was he involved in it?
No, it wasn't. No,
oh,
not
okay.
at all. No. I was just going through AI, but yeah.
Joe, I just sorry quickly to put in again, and I'm not going to say who this is on this show out of being a gentleman, but I still believe that he is some sort of intelligent asset.
Who are you talking about? Have I spoken to him?
Yeah. He was semi involved with you for a little bit. He was semi involved with Alien Addict for a little bit as well.
Begins with an S.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am 100% convinced. Maybe at 100, maybe 85.889% convinced that he is some sort of British intelligence asset. Not that we were ever in any position to do it. It was just, it made me realize that on all levels, alternative content is monitored. But sorry, anyway, plug your stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, so Alien Addict on Friday and Cosmic Twilight should be uploading tomorrow. So yeah, thanks for letting me being on the show. And it's always good to have a conversation with you, Lee. And it's always good to talk about conspiracies without any restrictions. It's
it was great.
Refreshing, actually.
Thank you for coming on. Like, I didn't expect to keep you for 2 hours. I hope I haven't kept you too long. I was amazed then just when I looked at the timer. Yeah. Cheers, Nick. We'll see you all tomorrow, where I should have Dave and Ollie back from their debaucherous fucking evening that they've spent together. I can't believe that Ollie didn't take me to America with him this time. I love America, even if it would have involved me getting like gang bummed by a load of picks. But anyway, right. See you later. Bye-bye.
See ya.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Why are you a conspiracy theorist? And I said, why isn't everybody a goddamn conspiracy theorist?
This is the real research. Literally have an alien base, and they are literally communicating.
I don't have a whole lot of time.
Have you personally had any experience with interdimensional beings?
What we're thinking of as aliens, they have infiltrated a lot of aspects of military establishment. And they are not what they claimed to be.
We leave you much that is undone.
That's one small step for man.
There are great ideas undiscovered.
Visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars.
Remove one of truth's protective layers.
There's a monolith.
They want the major population centers wiped out.
Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
One giant leap for mankind.
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
Those challenges are yours.
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
There are places to go beyond belief. Beyond